Well, good evening, everybody. I am not Bubba Duke, but this is the Boar's Nest. I'm Bobby Munson. I'm going to fill in here tonight, and I'm going to hand over the host of duties to the host with the most, OMD. How you doing today, my man?
I am doing well, Bobby, and thank you for being here. Bubba had an emergency to go and deal with, so he cannot be here. So much appreciation and respect to you, Bobby, for stepping in and filling in.
That's what we're here to do. Help out anytime anybody needs a helping hand here, my friend. So, but yeah, let the people know what's up for tonight, what you got going on, and what the plan is. Clearly, we won't have the viewable, beautiful screen that Bubba Duke brings. The Bubbatron won't be.
No, we don't have the Bubbatron tonight. Unfortunately, my HDMI cord was just a little bit too short by about 4 inches to reach from my Xbox to the computer monitor. So I will be playing No Man's Sky here. Now, this is a game that Bubba and I tested out last night for the first time, and it's really confusing, but we are doing this to try and get ready for the release of Starfield in about 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time. So right now I've just got the game loaded up, and I'm running around shooting cactus in space. This is a space exploration game, and there are elements of crafting, building, apparently. I'm not sure.
Just taking a look here for the people at home, because I'm not too familiar with the game myself. Would this be one that is available through Game Pass?
It is.
Okay.
It is available through Game Pass, absolutely.
Beautiful. That'll make it easier for me to find afterwards and take a look at this. I'm just looking at some of the imagery from this thing. This looks like quite the interesting game. I don't know how this one stuck by me. What year approximately? Like, how long has this been out for so far?
I believe it has been out for about 5 years. There were a lot of technical issues with it early. But through patches and updates, they've apparently turned this into quite the game. And it does have a rather large following, to my understanding.
Okay. I'm actually reading here, the initial release date was August 9th, 2016. It says here, No Man's Sky is an action-adventure survival game developed and published by Hello Games, released worldwide for the PlayStation 4 and Windows in August of 2016, and for Xbox One in July of 2018, and looks like favorable reviews overall in the long shot for it. Like IGN a 7.8 out of 10, Steam's got it at 7 out of 10. Google users have it at 91% approval rate too, so it must be quite the fun game. In fact, and we've got our good friend, co-host of Turnbuckle Talk, and someone who joins you every Monday night on the Monday Night Raw watch along, We got Chris Best up in the house. It's a space survival game, he says. And Chris, have you been rocking this game, Chris? Have you got your capture card yet, my friend? What's happening with CBRS Gaming? I want to fill us in. Let us know what's happening there. What's going on in the game at this very moment, though, OMD? What do you got happening there?
Well, right now I am looking for a signal that I was able to trace last night. So I actually left the first planet that Bubba and I were on. And so now I am going through and exploring and trying to get some elements and food and different things like that. So I'm really not sure. We did not get very far into the game last night. I know Bubba really was having a hard time and was a little more confused. I was able to figure out a couple of things. I don't know how, but so right now I'm shooting a cactus with my mining laser and getting carbon out of it.
Nice. And I do apologize if I do seem distracted at a time or two here. I'm also setting up the room for Triple R coming up right after the show here.
Yes, you have Ring Respect Radio coming up tonight.
We sure do. Yeah, just letting Papa Smokes know the details, giving them the room to get inside to come fill in. And I'm praying, man. I'm looking at the sky outside right now, and I am praying like an MFer that things do not go sour here for me, because we got a storm of brewing in good old Saskatchewan here tonight.
Okay, whereabouts in Saskatchewan are you?
Just outside of Saskatoon, actually. So I work in Saskatoon, and I'm about 10 minutes just outside of there. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I
was actually in Saskatoon once, and that was in 1996.
Oh, I was just a young Bobby in 1996.
The summer the movie Twister came out, and it was my goal. That entire trip, we did a family trip and drove from Sault Ste. Marie right out to Vancouver Island.
Okay. We got Chris in the chat here. Sorry, Chris, I was just setting up a room. We'll get to your stuff here. Friend, I was going to buy my capture card, but moments before I was going to join in on the Raw watch along, my comp took a big old crap on me and back in the shop. Man, that sucks. Sorry to hear that, brother. Never a good thing when the computer's crap out on you. I am ultimately paranoid of this at any given time when I'm running systems, especially with the amount of pressure I'm putting on them. So I've got multiples of these things at all times running, so I have backups, but still, it scares the hell out of me, man. It really does. Also saying, we got dark skies rolling over OMD and I right now, too. Woo! Oh, we just saw a bolt of lightning out here.
Uh-oh.
Looking nasty. Hoping it'll pass soon. I mean, I don't really care. As long as the power stays on, we're good.
Right?
If the power goes out, I do apologize to everybody that if the misfortunate circumstance goes down, that'll be what happens here. So, but we'll see. We'll make it through. Hopefully, we will. We've only had I think one power outage here this summer so far, and it went out for I think it was a good 90 minutes or something like that on a early Saturday evening, probably around 4:00 or something like that. So, nothing that required like candles or anything of the sort to get around the house, so it was not too bad. I just pulled out the old Switch, which had full battery life at the time, and started playing with that. We were going to entertain me until the power came back in.
Very nice. Yeah, that happened to me actually about a month or so ago on the Raw watch along, and my entire system froze up. Just due to a massive thunderstorm, and nobody could hear me. Thankfully, the watch along was over.
I recall the time, my man. I made the short video out of that one. That was entertaining. You couldn't hear a thing the boys were saying at the time. It was quite funny. No. See, that's why I want to switch, says Chris. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about the Switch, and the wife and I only just bought a Switch on Mario Day or whatever day it was kind of recently. They had a really smoking deal at London Drugs going on with the game and the system and all this. So, you know, being that that's kind of more of a game that she can get into, is playing like Mario type games, that we decided to split the difference and get one, even though look who plays it more. But, you know, it's fun to have. I mean, I sat back and played some Tears of the Kingdom for a while that day, and it backed me up. It was a good time.
Nice.
Chris remembers that Monday Night Raw watch along quite well. He said that we razzed you pretty good there, OMD.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's all good. It's all in fun. It's all in fun. Now I hear you've got another show coming up fairly soon with Mr. Carl Carafel.
I've got, well, I mean, technically a couple of shows coming up with Mr. Carl Carafel, but very, very soon we are going to be recording the very, very first edition of what is called Got the Pod Life. So myself and Carl Carafel are going to be rocking and rolling, telling you guys all about our favorites in the world of music, what we grew up on, what our tastes were, why we're so invested in these bands, a little bit of history about them as well too. We thought we'd start because we're calling it Got the Pod Life. The references to Korn are clearly there. We know they are Carl's favorite band. They're one of the tops of my list as well too. We thought we would do the very first episode release on the upcoming Friday. I believe it's the 18th, if I'm not mistaken, of August here, which will be exactly 25 years since Korn dropped the Follow the Leader album. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That show is going to be more of a monthly to every couple of months sort of thing, kind of like I do with Killer Cuts with Astrid, where we just kind of pick up when we need to. But we will also have season 3 of Beats and Beatdowns coming back as well too. Carl Carafel and I talking about the links between professional wrestling and music. And this year the rule book's out the window. We are not giving you A to Z anymore. We are just going to give you what we think is absolutely best when it comes to music and professional wrestling. And we've got a whole great list of artists to talk about this coming season.
Fantastic. That's a show I've actually I would love to get involved in and discuss, because I am a huge fan of music as well. As I'm sure you know, Carl and I do share a very, very similar musical taste as well.
Yeah.
We tend to travel quite a bit for concerts and shows, and
it's definitely something we will have to get you involved with. I am 100% on board with that. And yeah, like you guys just went to that festival together. I know Carl was pretty stoked about that, sending me pictures, sending videos with all the vocal stylings of the wonderful Lizzie Hale there before I got to see her live just recently surprisingly opening for Volbeat. I know Volbeat's a big band, but I see Hailstorm in a much bigger picture in a sense.
Right.
I enjoy Hailstorm more, and I think that they stole the show personally.
Absolutely. I will say this, there was one band that weekend that actually beat Hailstorm for me, and that was the reunited Flyleaf.
Whoa, interesting. Nice. Now, the singer, Lacey Strum, I believe her name is.
Yes.
If I could pronounce. Oh, wow. That was a bolt landing. Good God. Lacey recently did a remastered, like Chris is talking about remastered tunes here about Rev Theory doing voices. They actually, not a remastered, but like a revisit of a current song by the band Nothing More. And I just want to give a big shout out. Nothing More is a phenomenal band that is highly underrated. Probably one of my favorite bands going at the moment for young bands. The version of their song that they do with Lacey Strum on it is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The two of them together sound like they just belong singing together. It was so beautifully integrated. Loved every second of that.
Wow.
And she put out a new single, if I'm not mistaken, as well too recently.
I believe so, yes, because she and her husband also do solo music. When I got to go and see them that weekend, it was one of only 5 dates that Flyleaf booked as a reunited band for the year.
Interesting. Like that's crazy. I mean, the fact that you got to see them, like,
yeah,
reunited, like, damn. I'm in awe.
Yeah. Much. Actually, as you were touching on Nothing More, it's a very funny story. They were part of Carl's first ever concert.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes. A number of years ago, when he was getting married to his now ex-wife, I was the best man, so I planned the bachelor party, and I didn't want to do the traditional, let's go to the strip club and do wings. So I was looking, and it just so happened in Grand Rapids that Five Finger Death Punch was playing with Hell Yeah, Volbeat, and Nothing More.
Oh, man, killer.
So there was the bachelor party.
That's a good bachelor party, if you ask me. I mean, I like ones that go against the grain and don't have to do the typical thing. Like when we did my brother's the one year, we went out paintballing and then we did some poker and stuff like that. Blast of a time. Absolute blast.
So yeah, that was Nothing More very, very early on. That was, I believe, their first album.
Well, Nothing More like would it have been like before, because that's kind of weird how their discography works, because there's technically 3 major label albums and then 3 that were kind of independent releases prior to that. And Johnny Hawkins, the singer of the band, was the singer for 4 of those albums, but the drummer for the first 2. He actually wasn't the original singer of the group, and he took over on the 3rd independent album. And then from there, all the albums that are known for their major label release, he has been the vocalist for. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this guy the drummer? And not to take away from his artistic ability on the drums, but he is so goddamn good at vocals. Like
right.
he is a poet, and just his voice is an instrument in itself that I'm like, why were you hiding him behind a drum kit?
Right. And you know what? I didn't know that. So thank you. That is fantastic to learn about.
Yeah, I know for sure the first album he took over for vocals on, there is copies of the tracks on YouTube that you can find as well too. So you can check out some of their earlier work prior to the major label releases. But it's once it hits the major label releases, they really hit their stride and understood their craft and became something like they are today. It's remarkable. Chris Best saying that he wouldn't mind if any wrestling promotion could get the Pretty Reckless to do a theme song. I mean, they're just a badass band. So yeah, that would be fantastic, brother.
That they are another band I've had the privilege of seeing live a few times.
They've come through here. I have not actually gone to see them at any given time, but it's always one of those things where the stars haven't aligned. I haven't been available the nights it's happened and everything. So there has been some shows I've ended up missing. I know that the wife and I are planning to go see Avatar coming up here in Saskatoon in September. They are going to be playing one of the smaller clubs here. And their opening band is a band called The Native Howl. And this band, we heard about them because there was this show put together by Hit Parader on YouTube, absolutely free. And it's called No Cover. And this was kind of like an American Idol-ish type idea reality show, but it's all unsigned bands who had to come in and only play original tunes for the judges in order to earn their spot towards the final and get themselves a contract. Now, your judging panel consisted of Gavin Rosdale from Bush, Alice Cooper, Lizzie Hale of Hailstorm.
Right.
And I do apologize. I don't quite remember. There's the bass player from Animals as Leaders. I don't remember his name. And this one, she's kind of a very eccentric pop artist. And I don't quite remember her name, but they made quite the panel. And there was some crazy acts on there. But this band comes out, The Native Howl, and you would swear these guys must have been signed already. They blend what the grassroots blues music with thrash metal. And it is the wildest thing you have ever heard. And they have such a stage presence about them that instantly people were glued to them. I mean, they mopped the floor with the whole competition, went the whole way.
Right.
Got signed. They're going to be unique. When people really start to hear them and they put forth that first major label record, people are going to notice them.
Okay. Absolutely. Definitely worth checking out. I have heard about the show you were talking about.
Yeah, no cover. Definitely anyone who has a chance, check it out. Great show. It was awesome. Chris saying right now, I'm thinking how awesome it would have been if Pretty Reckless did a theme for Toxic Attraction. And yes, that would be awesome. It really would.
That would have
I mean,
been, yes.
even just getting Pretty Reckless to perform. Like, I miss the days of getting rock bands and metal bands to perform at WWE at big events. Like,
Right.
it always felt like any of the premium live events or pay-per-views usually had some sort of artist at them, especially the big ones. And I feel like that just needs to be the case more often than not, is to have these musical artists and, you know, have that crossover of genres come in to do things there. So that would be great. I say Pretty Reckless for WrestleMania.
That would be fantastic. I actually had the privilege back at WrestleMania X8 of seeing Saliva and Drowning Pool.
Sweet.
Both of with the original lineups. Now, sorry?
I was just gonna say the fact that you got to see Drowning Pool with the original lineup is just, yeah. Very, yeah.
And then a friend of mine actually saw them with the original lineup, or was supposed to see them at Ozfest, and that was when the original singer passed away.
I remember that too. I remember that day waking up and hearing that news, like, just sad as hell. And what an album. Like, what a debut album from a band, and having that taken away, not knowing what could have been. I mean, it's kind of like when you woke up the day and hearing that was it Lynn Scott from the band Snot had passed away as well too, and not getting the opportunity to hear what those guys could have been as well.
Right. I actually had the privilege shortly before Carl and I went away. Actually, Carl was with me that night as well, and Josie Scott and his new touring band, his version of Saliva, were just through here. And that was a fantastic show, although we did not get a huge crowd, and we were disappointed in our community for it.
It happens here too, man. It just, the crowds are not there for a lot of stuff anymore. It's wild. Nobody wants to seem to go out to anything, and I do like when I see a place packed. I mean, it's nice to see, but it doesn't happen often enough. Like I was telling people, even with AEW Dynamite coming to Saskatoon, like it was well positioned on TV to make it look like we had an arena of people there, but it was a far cry from it. We didn't even fill 3,000 seats. And
wow.
Some of those were comped. So, and I'm not trying to, like, I'm not one of these guys. I'm not knocking AEW.
No.
This is the problem. Saskatchewan is not a place to come for televised events, especially if you're going to do Regina and Saskatoon. We're too small. Right. We're too small market. Had you done just one, you might have drawn some of those excess fans to one or the other. But instead, you kind of divided the casuals at that point, which didn't really do much for the numbers. So, Chris saying, my girl introduced me to Lord of the Lost today. I was like, oh, this is a cool new band. She goes, dude, they've been around for almost 8 years. 8 years is still young.
Yep.
They're still in their infancy. So I side with you, Chris. And I've never heard of them. So
I've never heard of them.
I'm curious now, though. I need to know.
Yes.
A lot of great new bands out there, though, all the time. So it's fun to be able to talk about music. I mean, I've always had some involvement in some way, shape, or form, whether it was booking shows. For a while there, I was bringing bands into Saskatoon to play some of the independent stuff here. And I was also in a couple of independent bands as well, too, whether on bass or as a really terrible vocalist.
Really? Believe it or not, promotions is something I have always wanted to get into.
Yeah.
To improve the entertainment value here in Sault Ste. Marie and in the surrounding area.
It's an interesting gig, but it can be a costly gig, and that was the problem. It was often a costly gig more than it was an interesting gig.
Right.
And only so much of my livelihood could go towards supporting something that wasn't drawing money anymore, which is why I kind of got out of it in the end. But I met so many cool people, hung out with so many cool bands. Such great memories from that time and everything too. just, yeah, a lot of fun. I even was digging through my collection the other day and found a bunch of recorded music that was, so anytime the bands would come and play at a place called the Basement in Saskatoon, I had the opportunity, if I comped, I think it was like $20 per band or something like that, or $25 per band that was playing, to the sound guy, he would make me a live recording of each of the bands from that night. So I've got like a collection of several discs where I've got these live recordings of these different artists that came through Saskatoon that I booked here and everything. So some of which, yeah, some of the bands don't even exist anymore, which is wild too. So it's kind of fun to go back and listen to the music that was, hanging out with and booking at the time. So. One of my most fun stories, I think, was there's this guy, Justin Bender is his name, great, a phenomenal guitarist, and he was playing for a band named Sate out of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Kind of a death thrash metal type band, but they were getting a little bit of momentum, mostly because of just how incredibly gifted each of the guys were on their instruments. People were really picking up on how tight of a group they were. And so all of a sudden, Justin decided to get into the side of recording other artists. So a buddy of mine, Brad, has this group called Chainfire. Directed one of their music videos for them. He went into the studio at Justin's studio to start recording their first studio album. And as they were kind of laying down the final bits of the tracks to finish the album, Justin got a call from a band, and I don't know if you're familiar with this group. They're called Into Eternity out of Regina. They were quite well known and have traveled the world. So Into Eternity, I don't know the whole story. I believe that their guitar player had passed away, something along those lines. They needed somebody to fill in. They knew Justin from playing shows with Sate, and they called him like, dude, we need you. We need you to join the group. How long is it going to take you to get up to speed and know how to play all our songs? He goes, I'll start tomorrow.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, you'll start learning them? And he goes, no, I know them. I can start in the band tomorrow. He goes, I already know all your tracks. Don't worry about that. And just immediately he hops in. And back in the days of MSN Messenger, I'm sitting there one night and like, Justin comes up on my list. Like, all right, Justin, buddy, how's it going? He's like, good, dude. He's like, I'm just at the merch booth in wherever it was in the States that they were. He's like, I'm just watching Megadeth set right now. We just finished opening for him. I'm like, you son of a bitch, dude. Jesus. Damn, man. Megadeth. Like, he just brushes it off like it's all casual. Just have to be opening for Dave Mustaine of Megadeth.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, it was a fun time, though. So let's go over to the game a bit here. What more can you tell us about what's happened in your game so far, OMD?
Well, I have found the signal that I was looking for, although it took me quite some time. Now I am looking for a certain type of jelly, and so I can build a base computer, as well as I need that jelly and some carbon nanotubes, which I can't remember how to make offhand because I had them made last night. Other than that, so yeah, I'm just sort of running around this planet. I need to find copper as well. So it's interesting. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be playing this game, but I wanted to test it out to sort of prep for Starfield at the start of September.
I was going to say it kind of sounds like it has a little bit of that Starfield idea behind it anyway. Starfield obviously going to be a much bigger, more in-depth beast than that, but definitely 100% looking forward to losing the rest of my life to Starfield when it comes out.
Right?
Yeah. Chris saying my first concert ever was a country band called the Rankin Family. I know the Rankin Family, man.
Yeah.
First metal concert was Fozzy in 04. I think Fozzy was at 04 or 5 that I saw them. It would have been Backlash was in Edmonton that year. I can't remember if it was 04 or 05. And then, of course, over at the Starlight Room afterwards was Fozzy playing a local show. So I went down and saw them then. But first like rock concert I ever went to, like kind of on my own when I started going to rock concerts, would have been the Smashing Pumpkins when they rolled through town here.
Okay.
Remember that was a pretty eye-opening experience as far as like musical concert experiences were. And from there, it started to grow, and I went to different various things like Metallica. I think was shortly after that, and then of course like Korn, and they had Papa Roach and Powerman 5000 opening for them. And aside from countless amounts of outdoor festivals that I've gone to, and those are always the best. I love outdoor festivals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just great. Because I mean, you could just even like, hey, I'm feeling like I just need to chill, and you can just go sit back on a patch of grass or lay back and enjoy the music still while you're chilling out there. So,
yep, absolutely. My very first concert I was 16 years old, and I went across the river to Sioux, Michigan to see the original lineup of Quiet Riot.
Nice. Awesome, man. Awesome. Chris saying Backlash in Edmonton was in 04 when Carl and I saw Fozzy live. It was the night before SummerSlam in 04. Sweet. Very sweet. Fozzy was funny. What was even funnier was the local group that was opening for them here in Edmonton that night. I think they were called Broken Nose, and the singer just kept going on and on about how he can call himself the Broken Nose, but the coolest man on the planet's coming up after him who gets to break noses for a living, and that's Chris Jericho.
Yes, I saw Fozzy back in 2015 at an outdoor festival in Columbus.
Nice.
We missed out on the meet and greet because there was somebody else we had gone to see. I believe it was Nonpoint, actually, on the other side stage, on the opposite side of the stadium. But much love to Chris Jericho, because from what we've heard at that show, there was a fan who passed out waiting in line for the meet and greet with him. And the first person she saw when she woke up in the ambulance was Chris Jericho.
Oh, wow. See, as we're talking funny music stories, let's just keep the momentum going here on the board. So, while the boss is out, let's just talk music for a while.
Exactly.
So this would have been, oh, Jesus, I want to say 07-ish, somewhere in there. Nine Inch Nails are on tour, and they're coming through Saskatoon. This was going to be my fourth time seeing the Nine Inch Nails. So I'm like, you know what? I've been 100% sober for every time I've seen the Nine Inch Nails so far. I am going to get 3 sheets of the wind for this one, personally. I just figured it was my party night. It was local. Somebody else was driving this time around for me. And I was like, we're going to have some fun. So the night before, I go out drinking with a couple of friends, and we go down to the one hotel in Saskatoon. And we're there having a drink, and just so happens that's where the Nine Inch Nails are staying. The tour buses are out front. There's that hope, hey, maybe one of the band members walks down for a beer or something like that and everything. But there's this kind of goofy looking dude sitting at the edge of the bar or whatever. And he's like, are you going to the concert tomorrow? It's like, oh, yeah, of course we are. He's like, I'm the stage hand for the right hand of the stage. I do the video production on the right hand of the stage. It's like, well, let's have a chat then, my friend. So pull up the seat beside him and just start talking to this dude. And he's been on tour with bands like Nine Inch Nails was just one of them, but like REM and some of the big names that have been through history of rock happen to be people that he's worked with as well too. And so he goes to me after a bit. He's like, do you and the ladies want to come and check out the tour bus? I'm like, yeah, man, I want to see Trent Reznor. I want to see how Trent Reznor rolls through the country. Like, yeah, come on, let's go. So we go into this thing. It's fancy, dude. Like, I'm talking like I felt like I was bringing the value of the bus down when I stepped on it. That kind of the deal. It was like all these beautiful leather seating and everything. And the guy, like, he clicks in the XM satellite radio and stuff. He's like, we can listen to whatever we want. He's like, bro, you like beer? And I'm like, I enjoy a good cold beer. He's like, see that armrest beside your seat there? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, press down on it. And I'm like, all right. So I press down, and all of a sudden this thing just airlifts up, and this cold, chilled case of beer is just in a refrigeration unit underneath the seat. It's like, oh, good God. So you just reach in, pull one of these things out. So we're sitting there figured we were having a nice time, stuff like that, chit-chatting and everything. And all of a sudden this guy starts going all creep mode, hey, because I got these 2 lady friends of mine there. he starts trying to like rub the leg of my one friend, and she was kind of oblivious to it at first, and then all of a sudden I could see on her face she felt awkward in this situation.
Right.
Like I got the like save me now look, and I was like,
right.
all right. I was like, I hate to do this to a dude because you know what, like I mean, you know, you always say, oh, don't be a bad bro, but I don't know this guy. He's being kind of a creep. So I said, no, my bro right now is this lady right here, and I'm gonna step in. So I was like, well, dude, I was like, appreciate the drinks. I got to take these ladies home so we get nice and rested for the concert tomorrow.
Yep.
You have a good night. And this guy went full red in the face. He was not happy. Like I got the whole like, dude, you're blocking me here, and I'm like, dude, she ain't interested. And if it goes any further than that, then it's not cool, brother, because I'm not going to tolerate that shit. So we're going to clean this mess up right now, and you go get back to your job tomorrow night. Sorry, things didn't happen for you.
Right. Actually, another story. There was another time Carl and I had gone to another small community called Mount Pleasant, and it was to see Five Finger Death Punch, 10 Years, and Pop Evil.
Nice.
And I thought Carl was joking as we're pulling into the hotel, and he's like, there's Ivan. Like, no. Carl and I have issues with our room. Our first room wasn't ready. They get us to the second room. It wasn't ready. So we're sitting in the lobby, waiting, having a coffee. Who walks by and says, hey, fellas, how's it going? Ivan Moody.
Nice.
We do the Canadian thing, right? We're like, did that actually just happen? And instead of, hey, can we get an autograph? Can we get a photo? Turns out the band was staying at the same hotel.
Awesome.
But we didn't get to see them after the show, unfortunately.
Do the whole Wayne's World gimmick. We're not worthy.
We're
not worthy. Chris Vest saying, OMD will agree with me on this. We need more rock acts coming to the Sioux. I believe that's how you guys go with it, right? The Sioux?
Yes. Yes, absolutely we do.
Yeah, Carl, I was trying to get, like, Carl and I, because we were discussing it on Beats and Beatdowns one time or behind the scenes afterwards, like saying that you guys seem to get bypassed for a lot of the shows that go on tour and stuff like that. So not as much comes into your area, or because there's bigger cities within, say, that hour and a half, 2 hour distance, then they kind of completely forget about you guys and bypass you entirely. So
kind of we've the two biggest concerts that we've had here, and I'm going to go back to their Carnival of Sins tour when we had our newer arena built. It was known as the Steelback Center back then, and we got Motley Crue.
Nice.
They called and said, no, we want to come and play this new venue. And then we also got when Kiss did their fan vote to see where they would come. And although Winnipeg was, of course, the highest voting city, so they got them just because of their sheer size, we were the number 2 highest voting city, so we got Kiss. Which was, to be honest, a disappointing show.
It's a shame.
But it was all about the stage show and not about the music.
It's fair. It's kind of where their presence has always been. Yes, Chris mentioned we had Kiss. We kind of just get them here by default because of the wife link up.
Right.
So for those that don't know, Gene Simmons' wife was born and raised in Saskatoon. Her parents still live here, so the two of them frequent the Saskatoon area quite often. It's not uncommon to be walking through the Midtown Mall in Saskatoon and to randomly bump into Gene Simmons.
Wow.
No word of a lie. Yeah. And without Kiss being on tour. Like, it's happened where people just all of a sudden you'll see pictures pop up and it's like, oh, hey, I met Gene Simmons this afternoon just outside of, like the Gap or whatever it is.
Right. Well, and it was funny. We actually had that situation happen here a few years ago. There was the band Hell Yeah was out on tour.
Nice.
and I happened to walk into a wing joint, and there is Chad Gray and Vinnie Paul sitting having a beer and having wings.
Damn. There's like a rock star overload right there, eh?
Yeah. Now, again, I didn't go and interrupt them because it took me until, well, after I was there to realize that, well, shit.
But me and some friends went to a couple of shows by Calgary and Edmonton back to back for Chimera was the act that we were going to see. Before I get to that story, though, Chris mentioning Kiss had to cancel a show because Gene got sick, so they promised they'd come back for the next tour. But
they did.
Yeah. So going back to Chimera here, so we go to the show. I think night one was in Calgary, so we go to the Calgary show. Great, fantastic time. Drive over to Edmonton. Go to the show the next day again at the Starlight Room. And as we're walking up to the Starlight Room, it just so happens the bass player from Chimera is standing outside having a cigarette. And he's like, "What's up, people?" He's like, "Coming to rock out?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, man. We're coming to what gave it away? The Chimera shirts?"
Right.
Come on, dude. Like, we got our ticket in right there. So we're like, "Yeah, let's we're going in there or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, awesome. You guys, I suppose you guys want a picture?" We're like, "Oh, we weren't gonna bug you, but if you're asking, bro, like, let's go for it or whatever." He's like, "All right, but I don't do the hugging stuff. I'm not a hugger." I'm like, "That's cool, man." Like,
yeah, right.
Really, I don't care. I don't mind standing at a distance for a picture. It's all good, bro. Like, I don't have an issue with it.
Right. No, I know I've had several experiences like that going to concerts across the river because we do have a casino over there that can seat, I believe it's 2,300. So they tend to get all of our concerts. And I met the Veer Union out of Vancouver over there on their second album. I met I'm going to date myself here. I saw Skid Row and Rat.
Oh, crazy.
Now, it was not Sebastian for Skid Row, but we did have Rachel Bolan, and even Snake was out because he was dealing with carpal tunnel.
Yeah, there's been some interesting ones that roll through. We haven't had, well, I mean, I guess we've had some okay ones lately. Like I mentioned, we saw Volbeat and Lizzie on Hellstorm recently, but before that, we had a bit of a gap. Like, I think the last thing that the wife and I went to was going to see, it was Slipknot with In This Moment and Wage War prior to that. And my wife had never seen Slipknot before. This was like my third time seeing them. She just, as soon as they hit the stage and the pyro starts going and everything, whoa, she's just blown away by this because there's big, huge explosions going off all across the place. But she loved it. At the same time, she became a Slipknot fan on that evening.
Awesome. See, and I'm going to be honest, because I was a bigger Stone Sour fan than I was Slipknot.
That's fair. That's very fair. I like both. I really do. Probably a little bit more on the Slipknot side, but I do enjoy both. Chris mentioning my biggest encounter with a rock star. I got to have a beer with Edwin from My Mother Earth. He came here to perform with his second band, Edwin and the Pressure.
Yes,
I thought Edwin had some good shit. I really did.
Yeah, I've got both of the Edwin and the Pressure albums, and then just a few years ago, I think we're going back to 2019. And we had I Mother Earth and Finger 11, and it was Edwin back on vocals for I Mother Earth.
That would have been just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I remember seeing I Mother Earth, I believe would have been on one of the Edgefest concerts, and then shortly after seeing Edwin on, I believe it was Somersault, when he had that Hang 10 song was the big hit of the summer that year. I loved those shows, man. So much fun, so many good times there, and just great encounters in general. Like, they just don't do them here anymore. Like, outdoor shows don't happen here, and we get like, I think there is like a kind of an outdoor folk festival type show where it's kind of like more indie type groups, so not really I mean, I don't really have an issue with it. I just don't think I'd spend an entire weekend at that type of festival myself. And then, of course,
Right.
there's the country festival, the big country festival, and I don't have an issue with country. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but the stories I hear of that place, it does not sound like my type of English. Real drunken redneck Saskatchewan people, like jump hopping in your tent when you're trying to sleep and everything like that because they're just hammered and being jackasses. So
Right.
yeah, I'll pass. I enjoy my sleep. When I'm tired, somebody's probably going to get punched out if they jump into the tent in the
Right.
middle of the night. So. And I don't need that kind of violence on my head.
Right. Right. Well, as you said, you just finished, as you mentioned earlier on Slack, that you just finished watching the pausing the game.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So my friend there who shared her story about coming to the festival with us, that was her first time. I brought her into the pit for Dorothy mid-afternoon.
Oh, nice.
So it wasn't going to be, anything overly hard. I eased her in. But she did that whole weekend, that whole festival, completely sober. And I couldn't have been prouder of her.
Overcoming those difficulties and everything with mental health and anxiety, especially social anxiety and such as that. What a great show, by the way, too. I'll plug it here quickly. If anyone hasn't checked it out, you can watch the replay of Pausing the Game, a mental health special right here on Our Local Establishment. And again, the guests were fantastic. Charlotte, of course, Sabrina Cartwright, writer and author from the Sioux there herself. And of course, her man there, Corey, who is also an author as well, too, joining the fold. Fantastic show that you guys did. Excellent.
Thank you. And actually, as I've mentioned to Bubba, Sabrina has been asking already to come back and do another one.
That's awesome, man. She was a great guest. So anytime, definitely have her on the show.
Fantastic.
100% back that idea. But those of you who are tuning in, if you want a way to reach out to any of us here at Our Local Establishment, especially, there is the ticker down below. You can also check this show out on the Boar's Nest as well as on Turnbuckle Studios. So across all the YouTube channels, make sure that you are subscribed and supporting all the wonderful talent here.
Yes.
Doing great work.
And I am actually going to kick out of the game here now just because I can't really figure out where I'm going now or what I'm doing. But we do have Ring Respect Radio coming up with this fine gentleman beside me, Bobby Munson, and Papa Smokes at the top of the hour.
We do. It's going to be an interesting one. We don't necessarily have a plan. We are going to leave it up to you, the fans, here tonight. We're going to be talking MLW. We're going to be talking Prairie Pro Wrestling. We're going to be talking whatever questions you guys have for the two of us. Again, myself and Pop Smokes have been in this game for a fair amount of time. I'd say about 6 years that I started on the professional wrestling side of things with streaming, with making a podcast. Ring Respect started in around that time, and that's when I started getting involved with professional wrestling as a videographer, commentator, and now ring announcer as well too. So it's been quite the journey over the last 6 years. But join us; it's always fun. It's interactive. It's a good time. We become a mess. Our fans have a laugh. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Nice. I'm actually looking up something because I actually found something very, very interesting in my emails today, so I'm not sure if I got it downloaded properly or not.
In the meantime, Chris Best is asking me when he gets to defend his, I believe it is the International Intercontinental Twitch Chat Champion of the World. Yes, Chris, we will be having the What the F Do You Know About Wrestling Pub Trivia Night 2 coming up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That is going to be on Thursday, August the 24th is the plan to have pub trivia night 2. So shine that belt up, that imaginary belt, shine her all up, get her all ready, put her on the line, my man, because your honor is on the line that night, and there's going to be people gunning for you. It's going to be interesting. We're going to go in a different direction this time. Maybe not make it so favorable towards Papa Smokes on screen there. We'll see how much he knows about something if we go a little bit past the territory times.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this. This came up through my email, but now I can't find it. I thought I had downloaded it.
Oh, that's all good, my man. Just Just making sure that Pop Smokes hasn't hopped in the other room just yet as we co-prepare for the other stream. Of course, it's always an interesting time when you jump from one to the other, but I've done it many times before here on the channel, so I do like helping out wherever I can. And again, yes. I know this hasn't been the traditional edition of the Boar's Nest, but it's been an honor to be on here and have some fun with you tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here and filling in admirably for Bubba Duke.
Yeah. Well, I as soon as I got that message, next time I would have been able to, set you up with the controls and stuff, but they're, a little crash course is sometimes needed as well, too.
Right.
I figured, hey, I'm here right now. I've been just kind of chilling, getting prepared. I figured, you know what? I'm going to take some time, help a friend out tonight. So.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. Bubba greatly appreciates it. But I was actually just, this article that I was looking for, it's about a wrestler from Thunder Bay, so a few hours away from me, who 5 years ago packed up, moved to Calgary to go and train under Lance Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's actually going to be rolling back through this way with CWE.
Nice. And
he won the PPW title off of one Chris Parrish.
The other PPW. Let me just clarify here. Prairie Pro Wrestling, the PPW I talk about, is the Saskatchewan-based promotion. Pure Power Wrestling.
Okay.
The one out of Lethbridge, Alberta. That would be the one that you're referring to.
Chris
Parrish, the former champion over there. But yes, very much so. Parrish, very known as one of the legends of PPW in Lethbridge.
Okay.
In fact, Chris Parrish, I don't know how much he's ever mentioned this too. A former PWI top 500 professional wrestler as well.
Yes.
Too. Very, very, very well respected within the circles here for the accomplishments that he's achieved and what he's done for professional wrestling in our area.
Yes, it is something. I mean, all credit to Parrish because of how humble he is about his wrestling history.
Yeah, I had to read about it in a book. No, I'm kidding. He's told me.
And I mean, Carl and I know a guy who photoshopped himself into PWI and put himself right around the 50 mark, and it's like, no, dude, you did not make PWI. We know because if you made PWI, they would have put my sorry ass in PWI.
Well, of course, apparently I must miss this part, but apparently Parrish mentions it weekly on the watch along.
Really? I never hear it.
I think if he's mentioned it weekly, it's probably because deep down inside of him, he's part of him is itching to come back to that ring.
Absolutely.
He deep down wants to. And well, he says he's retired. We all know, we've heard that from every professional wrestler that ever existed. So
right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's the whole never say never. I mean, I admit I'm retired. I'm just too old to get back in and take the bumps, though I'd love to go and just, crack my back on the pine one more time.
Every time I see the boys doing it in training or before a show starts or anything like that, I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. And then I remember it and I'm like, I also have to add the additional years since I've done it on top of it. I'm like, right. That doesn't sound quite as appealing as I thought it did.
Right. It's probably been 10 years since I was in the ring.
Yeah. It's, the last time I probably took a bump in the actual ring would have been right as we were starting Prairie Pro. So right around 2019 would have been the last time I took any physical bumps in the ring. I did take one just outside the ring, kind of intentionally in a way. We had a spot where a guy had just had the tar beaten out of him. And as he was kind of standing up, the whole, he's disoriented, doesn't know where he is, and he's pushing people out of the way. And as the camera operator, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to step in. So I stepped into it, and he gives me a shove because he doesn't know who he's shoving. He's just pushing the refs and officials away. And so I take the shove, and I actually fall backwards into the stairs and totally sold the whole move. And when we did the edit for YouTube, we actually hit the guy who edited that piece for me, made it so it went to a static screen, like the camera got broken and went out, and then we cut to Papa Smokes' camera shortly afterwards.
Nice.
Awesome. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Nice.
We're like, I can't believe your commitment for being a video guy that you would go step in and do something to sell our stuff
right.
like that. But I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm here to put you guys over. You're the talent. Let me help you.
Yeah, exactly. That's wrestling. Like, if that's why I do this stuff, is because I want to give back to the business that gave me so much.
For sure. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's always about helping people out as much as possible. And that's, what we try to do here on the streams too.
Yes. As we see the ticker rolling by, we can add a Twitch.
Oh, got Twitch now. Sweet.
I got Twitch as of last night.
Oh, perfect. We're going to have to fix that up for you then. So let's, maybe I could do that right now here. Take that off there. We're going to go edit that up, and you're going to let the people know what that Twitch is while I set it in here for you.
The Twitch is OMD 17. OMD 17.
No spaces, nothing like that.
No.
We're good to go. So it's not going to look like this. Although, hey, that doesn't look right. I got Twitch spelt with a big W there. We want to get to fix that up. There we go. Now we'll save her. Now we'll put her on the screen. There we go. That looks a little better.
Perfect. There we go. There we go. And no, I was not streaming on Twitch tonight for the Boar's Nest followers because I don't have access to the Boar's Nest on Twitch yet.
That's all good. I could have put it up there, just wasn't too sure, but I figured we'd get things rolling the way we did, put them all the YouTubes and roll with that there for tonight. But again, it's been an absolute honor to be able to join you here, OMD. I think it's getting to wrap up time, I would say. So
it is absolutely. You've got Ring Respect Radio coming on. So yes, coming up next week, I will be on the Raw Watch Along, possibly on Turnbuckle Talk. Again, I'm not sure. I will wait word from Mr. Carl Carafell and Mr. Chris Best. And next Thursday, you can catch me right back here on the Boar's Nest. Bobby, it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you here with us on the show, on the Boar's Nest tonight. Thank you so much for all your help.
Been a pleasure, my friend.
And you have a fantastic show with Ring Respect Radio tonight, you and Papa Smokes.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate, always appreciate the love and support you guys show us as well, too. Everybody, stay tuned. Coming up right away, Ring Respect Radio. This has been the Boar's Nest. I'm Bobby Munson. That's OMD. Have a good night. We'll talk to you guys soon.